And actually I found myself on a cliff in Australia, you know, looking down. It's a very long, I actually put a picture of it on my Facebook. It's a very long drop. But, you know, I caught myself quite quickly. I was like, I'm healthy. My arms are attached. My head's attached. You know, let's turn this around. But it was that's probably one of the darkest times I've ever experienced. Even though I've experienced probably worse traumas, that just hurt the most.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Business Owner Elevation Podcast. Elevation Nation, are you ready? It's Leon Street in the house alongside my fabulous co-host.
Fabulous now, fabulous. I feel like a female, Leon. It's Robert Dean Smith in the BOE house. And Leon, I can see that beaming smile of yours. I was feeling the radiation like sunshine because we've had showers. Now I'm getting sunshine. So I feel a rainbow's about to appear very shortly. So let's get on with introducing the guests, unless you want to preamble about things we've been up to, because I can't remember.
No,
we've been doing so many things I can't remember.
I'm not going to preamble yet. But first of all, because guys, if you're watching this on the video version of the podcast, you already know that we have our guest live and direct. Waiting in the wings, we have Elliot Kay. How you doing, Elliot?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Thanks for having me. And I've got to say, Rob, you're going to look great with rainbows.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you.
Awesome. So, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give you a quick behind the scenes of who Elliot Kay is. I'm going to go into his bio, and then throughout the show, Rob, we may kick it about what we've been up to and just throw a few bits here and there. Elliot's probably wondering what the heck's going on. But this is our show. This is how we rock it. We're real. We're upfront, and we're going to bring that hustle for Elevation Nation. So here it is, guys. Elliot is all about strategy. He's the founder of Strategic Brilliance Services, educating entrepreneurs all about the importance of strategy in the business. Elliot is a strategy mentor, international speaker, trainer, and author of the Amazon bestseller, Power to Succeed. Elliot mentors businesses to grow their turnover. He works with change makers of the world, speakers, coaches, trainers. His mission is to bring solid business strategy to highly skilled individuals, enabling them to do more good in the world and get paid for it. And guys, I've been witness to that. I've seen what he does. Elliot is creating a movement of strategic business owners who know how to commercialize their passion to give them more time, money, and freedom to live the lifestyle they want. Too many business owners end up broke simply because they didn't have the business know-how. Having built a successful coaching practice and public speaking training company himself, he knows what it takes to build businesses. Elliot is the commercial director of Pony Express Speakers Club Limited, one of the UK's leading public speaking training companies. Elliot has worked in the USA, Europe, Africa, Middle East, the UK, and is currently based in good old Blighty, London. So launching in the USA in 2017, and as far as I'm aware, I believe that's already started, hasn't it, Elliot?
Yeah, that's right. We started in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and then in October we hit LA. You know, as I say, I'm not just showing up. I'm gonna be there to leave a dent. Awesome.
So guys, I'm sure by now you already have a good feeling for who Elliot is. We're going to get stuck into the interview. I'm going to hand over to the illustrious Robert Dean Smith.
Well, it was fabulous and now illustrious. I like it. So
you can tell I got my copyright head on today.
obviously, coffee chief. So another great, start to the day. There was showers. Now we've got sunshine, and we're having rainbows. And we've got Elliot on here. So I know that this episode is going to be absolutely exquisite and explosive. But the way that we like to start the show, Elliot, is we traditionally to the Elevation Nation is ask you a question about what kind of like an elevated success quote, or maybe a mantra or a principle that you run your business and run your life by. That would be a great start to the show.
Yeah, and one of the ones I've been using a lot lately is start before you're ready. And that's the mantra. That's literally the mantra that has been really driving our strategy the last few months. Because, too many people get stuck in there. I'll just wait for the right time. I just need to be skilled. I just need to learn this. I just need the markets to be better, right? And it never happens. But if you have the approach of start before you're ready, you figure the way how. Is it Branson that says yes and then figure out, right? Yeah. So it's kind of in that mold of going, look, start before you're ready. Let's not wait for everything to be perfect. and it doesn't matter if you're a 6-figure, 7-figure turnover business, to implement the change, to implement the growth, you got to start before you're ready. And that's really been our mantra for the last few months. That's why we are launching in LA. I could have waited till I was, more famous, bigger. It's like, let's start before we're ready. Let's get the wheels going.
Yeah.
And let's get out there. Same in the UK. So that's our mantra right now. Start before you're ready.
I like it. Get that wheels in motion. I like it. So, there's that great book, wasn't it? Is it Fire Ready Aim? I always get that wrong, but I think it's Fire Ready, or is it Ready Aim? Anyway, Fire Ready Aim. So just fire, just get going, get firing, get moving, get momentum. So I really, really like that. Absolutely. I mean, Leon, do you want to add a little bit of your magical smile spice to this debate here?
No, I don't want to add anything more. I think it's a great quote. I think the key thing for me is, guys, like the experience and the interactions that I've had with Elliot, because we've both been at events where I've spoken, Elliot's spoken, and I've had a lot of interaction with him. I've actually delivered some training for Elliot's clients as well. And he's
and it was brilliant.
Thank you very much. I didn't pay him beforehand, guys, so So it's all genuine feedback and testimonial. Take that to the bank.
Live, real-time testimonials.
But seriously, it's like I want to get beyond what I know of you so far, Elliot, and actually, this is what our Elevation Nation is waiting for.
Okay.
Behind the scenes, tell us where it started for you, the entrepreneurial spark. Like, where did Elliot Kay, kick things off in this universe and start to impact people?
Hold on, before he does that, this is rude. This is just the podcast etiquette, host etiquette. I tried to think, Leon, did we meet Elliot at the same time, or did you meet him before? Because do you remember? I think this is the pivotal moment is when we was at Des O'Connor's relationship expert event, and yes, Elliot was speaking. He was I think he may have been the closing out speaker, and at the time our podcast was. I think in our podcast was quite young. Go on.
I was before lunch.
Yeah,
I was before lunch.
Yeah, he wasn't the closing speaker. But
all right, so it wasn't. Yeah. I do recall. Right. Yeah. But yes, we managed to get. I think I've got it somewhere in my photo album. We managed to get a picture side by side with Elliot, and I think even then we approached Elliot about getting on the show. But
yeah, we did.
Nothing ever happened.
It didn't. Yeah, and it was this week. I sat down. I was like, hold on, who have I got down on my list of people I need to talk to? And I'm like, shit me, like Elliot. So I'm like, let's get Elliot. And I messaged him. I said, are you available? He's like, yeah. I'm like, great, let's do this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Look, everything happens at the right time, right?
Yeah.
Because also when we re-met at the Best You, again, when we were doing Turning Pro, you're like, guy, let's get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, guys, let's do it. And it's taken.
But
this
you know
time,
what?
But that's okay.
Here's the real cool thing now. The podcast, obviously, it's relaunched. We relaunched as Business Owner Elevation because we still have the old one. It's still available. We just left it online so people can get access to those episodes. But it's obviously Business Owner Elevation now. Much bigger, much beefier, more muscle. There's a lot more going on. And so this
I like that.
You know what? This is why it's the right time, because this is a bigger platform, actually. And especially with all of the things that we're doing to get out to our community. And this is it. And so I'm going to pull it right back now. We're going to come back.
Yep.
So thanks for that, Rob, because I forgot actually it was at Desi's event. But here's the thing. I want to know where it all started, Elliot. I want the juicy behind the scenes, never seen before, heard before. Let's give it.
Wow. You know what? I used to think that being an entrepreneur was a title you earn. Mm-hmm. So I used to think someone used to go, hey, congratulations, you're now an entrepreneur. I didn't know or realize it's a being, it's a way of life, it's a mindset, it's a behavior. So when you ask me, where did my entrepreneurial thing start? It's kind of hard for me to go back, but I can kind of, I think about it, for me, it probably really started, I didn't do paper rounds and then sell sweets to people in the playground, and that's not my part. Or lemonade stands. But I think when I started my entrepreneurial path is when I committed to becoming a professional dancer, right? So I used to be a professional dancer, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. But I started very late. I was 21, but all I had was this passion and desire to be a dancer. And against all odds, I'd never danced. I was straight. Everything was against me in terms of being a dancer. I was old for the dance world. And what happened was, I just got creative on how to raise the money, because I don't come from a wealthy family. I come from a pretty poor family. I'm used to working hard, but I guess that was being my innovation, and I found ways to raise money, and I found ways to make money to make my dream come true of being a professional dancer. And I just did what it takes. And, that's what entrepreneurs do. They just do what it takes. And as a result of that, I think it instilled in me a real discipline. Number one is respecting time. That's one thing I learned, is valuing your journey, valuing your path. And then I think the key moment is when I got injured and everything had to change and I couldn't dance anymore. And I went for a dark place. I started to really take the disciplines and the learnings I had as a dancer into creating something. Again, at the time, I didn't think I was an entrepreneur, but I was just desperate to create. And I created a very small fashion label that went nowhere called Emeralds Fashion with a good friend of mine called Shanice, who's actually coming on board as a client now. Isn't that funny? And then I kind of found my way into training, and then I found my way into coaching. And then I started to go to all these entrepreneurs seminars, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's me. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm innovative. I'm a creator. I'm this. Wow. And I never really thought myself up until, now we look back, that's when the kind of entrepreneurial path started.
So when did you come across these events? At what age were you then?
Well, clearly I'm only 21 now, so
it's like a matter of weeks.
It's only a few weeks ago, really. Excuse me. Yes. When did I come across? It was 2009, where I got the email to go to Ali Pali. Can we mention names?
Of course.
Yeah. So I first went to see Christopher Howard, his breakthrough to success. And then from there, I ended up at something called Play to Win. And then I ended up at Roger Hamilton's Wealth Dynamics. And I just felt so at home, so absorbed, and so thrilled to know that I wasn't a bit strange, a bit weird, that actually what drives me, there's other people that are driven. And that's how I found my way into the sort of seminar world. And then I was like, wait a minute. I can do this. I am this. And that's when the path of building a business started. That's when I was really started to turn my back on the corporate world. And that's when I started to really see coaching as a business. And that's what I started to grow. And that's the path to being an entrepreneur. And I've worked with a range of entrepreneurs. I've worked with anything from a guy that supplies mechanics to meat factories, to graphic designers, to coaches, to trainers, consultants. Obviously, I have my core market, but it's really understanding the entrepreneurial spirit and entrepreneurial mind and way of being, which has enabled me to do that. Although I'm more niched now, but yeah.
So what's the niche now?
So the niche now is very similar to a lot of you guys, so the coaches, speakers, trainers, consultants.
Okay.
When I do my strategy stuff, although of course the system I teach is transferable to other businesses.
It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting because that's a very different. I don't know what kind of dancing were you actually doing, because we didn't actually pinpoint the style of dancing there.
Well, you're going to be surprised actually. So yeah, we're not tango, even though I'm half Argentinian. I'm probably better at salsa-ing actually.
Okay.
If anyone wants to, invite me to a salsa, it's on.
I'm sure we'll get some invitations now.
I'm sure you will.
So I actually studied contemporary dance at Northern School of Contemporary Dance. Within that, we did something called Graham technique, if anybody knows what that means. Cunningham, we did jazz, jazz hands, very cheesy. Yeah. But I also was a break dancer.
Wow.
Yeah, more sort of the kind of fast foot, crazy legs, popping. Yeah. I did do a lot of floor stuff, but I could never windmill, but I could head skip. Isn't that funny? So, actually, I had a career. I danced in the Middle East. I danced in Barcelona. I danced in the UK and in Portugal. And then when I got seriously injured, and Germany, that's when things really changed.
So what was this injury that happened?
So I have a disc hernia. I don't have it anymore. But it's the same as a normal hernia, but in your disc. It just means my discs rub against each other. Because I'm one of these rare guys that had really flexible hips and a tight back. Most guys have a flexible back and tight hips. So because I could kick my legs up so high, it was grounding my spine, and then eventually my spine gave in. But since then, you know, I haven't. I mean, it's been a few years since I've had any issues.
So that's why when I spoke at your event before, you had that funny brace on.
Do you still have the picture?
I have it. I'm gonna put it in this episode.
No, I tell you why I wore that. That's just for posture, generally. Yes, I think you should show that.
Elliot was wearing a bra, guys.
Yeah, it's a bit like a man bra. But no, that was for posture, not for my back.
Okay.
My back's been all right, actually. I've done martial arts now. I've trained in Shaolin Temple for 7 days doing Kung Fu. It held out. But yeah, I just had to change direction. Of course, I didn't have then what I know now. The tools, the mindset. Yeah. So I just ended up giving up. But at least I fulfilled the dream versus, you know, missed the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. You did it. You did something, you know, you took action. And it's like you say, there's a lot of people who don't take action. And so thanks for picking up that. I've got a question. What was this, the fashion label? What kind of clothing was that?
So what happened was, before I did that, I actually did PR for a modeling agency.
Okay.
Right? And part of, so we had obviously normal models, your beautiful ladies, men. And also he put me in touch with the dancers and to recruit dancers. But also part of that, I thought, why not represent brands? Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So I went to a fashion show and saw this girl called Shanice Carl, you can find on Facebook, beautiful soul. And I really liked her style. It was really long, flowy garments. Mm-hmm. And so I just approached, said, look, would you like to come do a fashion show? We'll give you the models and you can provide the clothes and everyone that gets exposure. You can photograph professional models in your clothes. And that's how it started. And we really got on. And she said, you know, should we do something together? And I said, sure, let's give it a go, because my thing was PRing. So we did a few shows together, and then it just kind of fizzled out. We didn't fall out. Nothing happened. As I say. We're really good friends now, talking about maybe her becoming one of my mentees. Mm-hmm. And it just, I think for what was going on for me in terms of finding myself, it wasn't the right time, you know? And also I've done event management. I still do event management. I've done all kinds of bits and bobs, which again has got me to think, oh, that's kind of where my entrepreneurial streak started. I'd find something, attempt to turn into a business, either succeed a little bit or fail at it and move on.
Yeah. No, cool. That's cool. That's cool. Any other questions, Rob?
Yeah, just one, because obviously we've touched on the fashion label, we've touched on the dancing, and there was a mention of two businesses. So you kind of, I think the one business I want to get a little bit more into is the Pony Express, which is the speaking, which I think where I kind of first knew you more for the speaking rather than strategy. So just give a bit of a backstory about how that came to pass.
Yeah, and there's a business in between that, which was when I was the coach with the hat. I was doing Power to Succeed. Yeah. So Pony Express Speakers Club, that really happened because Anik, the co-founder, or mainly the founder, she got really tired. First of all, she was still scared of public speaking, even though she did all this training. So she got really tired of doing like 5 days training and have no platform to practice on. So she created Pony Express Speakers Club to create a monthly meetup at the time, which would offer people a place to, once they've got the training, to continuously practice, get stage time, and they're able to deliver their speech. And then she set it up in a way that there was like a judging panel, like the X Factor. And then the people get live feedback. What happened then is I was one of the judges. And that was when I was coming out of, again, another rough time where I was going bankrupt. A girl I was in love with left me. I lost pretty much all my clients. And so she invited me, and that was the first time I almost surfaced in 6 months. And that was a rough time. And feel free to ask me about that. And I was one of the judges. And again, with my kind of entrepreneurial, I was like, you know what? I really think there's something here. So I've stuck with it since day one. And now it's developed to be one of the leading companies. We've got over 160 members. We run monthly events. We run trainings. We've got a membership program, a mentoring program. It's taken time, effort, and hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. But that's really why Pony was set up, to provide a platform for people to work on their training long term. Versus a lot of the seminars, like, hey, do 5 days with us, goodbye, you're now a speaker. Well, it takes a bit more time than that.
Yeah, to hone the craft. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But so I know Elliot just mentioned as well about this breakup. That has a story as well behind it, doesn't it? From what I remember, Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can really call it a breakup. You can call it more me following a girl out to Australia because I was in love with her, hoping that it'll work out, you know, because I made the effort. And then what happened was, and again, we're very good friends now. What happened was she was offered a job with this billionaire, who was a billionaire, because I Googled him. And she just said, look, I don't have time for you. I'm going to work with this billionaire. And I was brokenhearted. And it all happened within 2 weeks, that whole... So I've lost all bar one of my clients because they finished their coaching and they just didn't renew. I thought, you know, I was that naive, like a lot of coaches, like, hey, they'll just stay with me forever, right? Of course, I didn't have any funnels. I didn't have any marketing funnels, sales funnels. At that point, it was just by getting to know me. Then a company I was doing doing some work for refused to pay me. So we fell into dispute. They're like, you're not bringing enough money, even though I made £30,000 that month for them. They turned out to be crooks and really messed a lot of people over.
Another crooked coach. We should expose them.
Well, they're a crooked event management company, actually. And then, so I invested in a property in Cardiff, and that crashed after 2008. And then this girl was like, look, I'm going to spend time with a billionaire. So that was a real wake-up call. It's like, hey, what's going on here? What am I putting out there? That someone's just like not seeing the value here. And actually, I found myself on a cliff in Australia, you know, looking down. It's a very long... I actually put a picture of it on my Facebook. It's a very long drop. But, you know, I caught myself quite quickly. I was like, I'm healthy. My arms are attached. My head's attached. You know, let's turn this around. But it was that's probably one of the darkest times I've ever experienced. Even though I've experienced probably worse traumas, that just hurt the most because it just felt like everything was crumbling.
Thanks for sharing that. I know, you know, those kind of stories can be very emotional and bring up lots of memories, and you know, it just shows the power of who we have on this show today, guys. The fact that you can talk about it so candidly, and you know, above all else, that you said you're still friends with a lot of these people, which is really cool. And it shows the character of who Elliot is, and I suppose that's why we warm to Elliot, you know, in what he does, and more so how I see him carry himself, you know, at events, whether he's delivering training himself, speaking at the event, or actually hosting, you know, an event, which I've seen him do many times. And he's a very charismatic person. When you see him on stage, he really does. You may have picked up the kind of signs of this kind of showbiz kind of style about him. And
it's
actually,
the dancing.
Yeah,
it's the arts, the jazz.
Hands, that's it. And you know what? Actually, it really does come out in such a great way when he's on stage. And I really love that about him. And he's even introduced me before. And I'm like, wow, if I had that every time, that would be so awesome. So, you know, it's a really cool...
I'm available for hire.
Available, and contact details will be with the show notes.
I do wedding, bar mitzvahs, you name it. No, I'm kidding.
So I want to ask you another question then, Elliot. Now, you've taken us through this journey, some really great things, and I'd love for you to share with our Elevation Nation, because we're all about, you know, what can people learn from the guests that we have on the show? You know, what has been your biggest failure to date, and what were the biggest lessons that you got from that failure, if you call it a failure?
Look, I mean, I mean, I don't define failure as necessarily a bad thing. I'm aware when things don't work out. And I think especially in the coach world, I don't coach anymore, especially in the coach world, there's a whole, there's no failure, there's only feedback. Well, look, things still didn't work out. Let's look at it realistically. I think for me, I don't think I know, that time I just described was the most painful. And if I'm to look at something that was a failure in my eyes, it's that period. Because everything I'd invested in came collapsing down. Everything within a space of 2 weeks, literally. So, you know, the whole have multiple streams of income. So I went invested in Wales and this flat in Cardiff, which at the time was a good investment. I put all my savings into that, except it was released a year late, hence me having to go personally bankrupt. You know, a lot of people think that's a failure. I don't. It freed me, right? It really freed me, but it doesn't mean it was a nice process you had to go through. But they say, you know, if you've been bankrupt once, you're halfway to being a millionaire. So all being well, I'm a lot closer to the million now than I've ever been. And so that was really a painful period, because literally, if anyone's been through that period or done it, you have to sit there and you have to justify why you're in debt. You have to explain to the courts how you ended that. And I suppose there's an element of humiliation when you're kind of writing this out and going, this is how I ended up here. And you feel like a naughty schoolboy. And again, I've never actually shared this. Emily knows this, my beautiful wife. But the day I did this, I was living in Greenwich in London, and I wrote it all out, and I just felt this rage coming up. And I found myself punching the fridge, just literally punching the fridge. And I went for a walk for 3 hours because I just had this humiliative rage within me. And I've never shared this on camera, funny enough. So, but I feel it's relevant because I allowed myself to be defined by that experience.
Yeah.
Right. And once I calmed down, I went for a long walk along the river. I was like, okay, let's let go of that. It's happened now. Right. So that's one key period. Of course, having run a coaching business, I was an author at the time. I was the one saying, I'm going to be out there, I'm going to change the world and this and this. Again, for that to come collapsing to going from all my clients down to one client, pretty much no cash flow, no one in the pipeline, was the other time. I was like, oh my God, again, I'm failing. Why me? So when I'm on that cliff, I'm shouting at the wind and I'm going, why me? I mean, you can imagine. I felt like the whole world was laughing at me. Again, I felt humiliated that I'm not that guy that I said I was. And of course, the real kick in the teeth was, here's a girl that I was in love with, and I pursued her for 8 months, and I finally felt that I was getting somewhere. And boom, along comes this billionaire dude. And I must say, I was intimidated by him because he was a billionaire. He could offer her, in my eyes, I'm not saying it's okay.
Of course.
He could offer anything, and I was like, who am I? And it reflected. And I think that is the biggest period of failure I've ever experienced. And that got me to take a real deep look inside. And I could have blamed her, and I didn't. It hurt, We still spent another 2 weeks together after that. So I was still waking up in the same room, looking at her. And I used to go for these long walks every day. Like I would walk 10K a day just to sort my head out. And just to go back to the learning, the greatest learning from that whole period is truly, and I don't mean this is a cliche, is to keep your eye on the bigger picture, right? Is to truly keep your eye on what's important. So when I was on that cliff, it was like, I can give up and people will be forgiving, or I can make this work and truly make an impact. I don't know how now. At the time, it was still coaching, right? But I need to come back and truly be an example to my clients. Because if my client was telling me what's going on, I'll be coaching them through that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I need to be that person. And I think that was the calling, the universe, like, look, you say you can help people do this stuff. Let's see you get through it. And I think that's the key. But I had to keep my eye on the biggest prize. Because when I came back to the UK, I was offered 3 jobs. One was to set up like a training department, one was to be a trainer, so all in training. And one was good, one was a 60K job. So at the time when you have no cash flow, you have no income, that was tempting. But I turned it down. I remember lying there in bed going, oh, the money, but what about my purpose in life? Oh, the money, what about my purpose in life? And I walked away. And even my dear mum, she had to go at me. She goes, you're crazy, right? She's like, you cannot walk away from that money. I said, I'm going to. I'm either very brave or very stupid. Let's find out. And that's one of the key things. And that's one of the things I talk about is strategic purpose, your big picture, your why for your business. Another key learning is, I guess it's going to turn a little coachy, although that's not my thing now, is it's so true. What happened that time of my life on the outside was a reflection of what was going on the inside. Right? Everything that was going, all my fear around money, all my fear around relationships, they came to fruit. And the universe, higher power went, look, you need to deal with this if you're going to get to a certain level of success, right? And that's the truth. It was a mirror of truly what was going on. And that's what I had to address. So the other learning is what's going on the outside. I'm sure people will disagree with me, but that's okay. Is a reflection of what's going on the inside, and really truly taking responsibility, which is what great entrepreneurs do, is actually not being, it's their fault to go, how did I create that? And that's what I had to really learn, because otherwise I would turn really bitter and really toxic, and I would have just taken out and become this horrible, miserable coach that hates the world. How could I be that person if I couldn't be compassionate, right, to myself? And then the third biggest learning is to truly go out there and make an impact. You can only get so far on passion. After a certain while, you must have an effective strategy. And you've got to stop behaving and thinking and acting like a coach or a trainer or a speaker. And you have to think as a business owner and behave as a business owner.
As a boss!
Offers a service.
Yes.
Right? I guess you agree with that, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, thanks for sharing that, Elliot. it's, you know, there's lots of great lessons in there. I like the fact that you've broken it down into 3. So
Yeah.
as people are listening to this, watching this podcast, I'm sure they're going to pick up, because, you know, to go to that place where you were, to be on the cliff's edge, which is generally the kind of the story or the cliche most people bring, you know, at that turning point, but actually it happened and it manifested itself physically for you. You know, it's a very powerful story to share with our audience. So I just want to say thanks for sharing that, Rob.
Yeah, phenomenal. That's great. So let's flip a coin and flip it over. We've talked about the dark side. Let's move into the light. What would you say in your career so far? Obviously, you've done so many different things, Elliot. But what would you say some of your biggest successes have been? And just relay that in story format as small epiphanies for our audience, Elevation Nation.
So when you say, do you mean like results I've got for people?
Well, it could be results and just anything that you think has, you know, is a big success in your eyes. It could be result for yourself personally or for clients.
Great. I'll give you, again, I can think it must be thinking in threes today. Right?
Yeah,
so I'll
it's the
give
3
you
days.
It's a
The
power of 3.
Yeah.
West side, no, west side. Anyway, that was terrible. That's east side. That's west side. Forget it. Anyway, clearly not ever going to be a good gangster. So one of them for me is when one of my clients called me up and he was like, Elliot, I told you one day you're going to make me a millionaire. And he rang me up. He goes, I've done it. I'm a millionaire. And I was like, wow. If only I put him on retainer was one thought. But the other part of it was the fact that he called it and then he remembered me. He was like, hey, I'm a millionaire, and disappeared. And that's the guy that provides mechanics to meat factories. So he's completely not my avatar. He's completely not my market. And he's got the biggest results. And he's an incredible guy. His name's Paul Garrigan. But he's a bulldog. You know, one of these guys, you just give him tools and he's like, and he just goes after it. He just doesn't question things. And boom, So, and then he met me and took me out. I said, thank you so much. Because also, obviously, I like to think I go beyond what I just offered. So that was great. That's one great success. Yeah. Again, the second one is when a guy called, what's it called? Gee, I remember his last name. Well, he's in my book, Power to Succeed. It's Bull. It's Bull. His last name's Bull. Oh my God, I can see Alex Bull. There we go. Woo. Someone came to me with no experience, no business mind. He was, he maintained systems at a bank, but never pitched for investment, never pitched for funding. He came, we did one-on-ones with him. We got all his strategy right. We got his pitch right. And then he raised €1 million. So I was like, yay, I guess $1 million's a theme today, right? So that made me really, and that, again, that's, you know, you have those key moments of humility. We're like, wow, I helped that. It's not about me doing that. I facilitated it. And the last one is this. So when I did come back from that horrible period, I found myself a strategist mentor. And that he climbs Everest. You know, he's a adrenaline junkie. And one year when he was climbing Everest, he pulled me aside, not while he was on Everest, before he was climbing Everest, just to be clear, right? And he said, look, Elliot, there's a real chance that I could die. My question to you is, if I do, would you take over my company? And I was like, what? So this is a guy that's built a massive strategy. You might know him. Actually, I've never told his name. Maybe he doesn't want this. So I'm not going to say his name. Okay. Anyway, you might know him. He's in our space. Right? And I know what he's done. And I know the business he's built. And I know what he stands for. And he said, you know, would you do that? Would you carry on my legacy? And that was like, wow. I couldn't believe that someone was willing to hand over their life's work. He's like, don't worry, my kids will have money. The staff, you know, they know this is happening. Would you do it? And at that time, I remember feeling two things. I remember feeling incredibly humbled, but also incredibly fearful, because when the universe demands of you to step up, that's going to come with fear. Because my head was going, oh my God, at the time I was already running 3 companies. This is a 4th, and it's not even my company, and I'm going to be carrying someone's legacy on. So of course I said yes. And that was the year that everything went horribly wrong in Everest, when 40,000 people died or something. But he didn't, luckily. You know, he came down and I was like, woo, relieved on so many levels. More importantly, he's alive, but also I don't have to, you know, because my word's my bond. If I say it, I'll do it. And for me, those are the key kind of pivotal moments. I've had lots of other ones, but for me, it's like when someone's going to say, here's my life's work, will you carry that on for me? That's like, I've arrived. I'm making an impact. I'm being taken seriously. You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And those are my 3 key moments.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks for flipping the script, Elliot. Great insights there. So next question. What's the current big thing our community needs to be aware of, in your opinion?
That's a great question. Of course, I'm always going to relate it back to strategy.
Cool.
Right? I think I know is this. I think a lot of entrepreneurs get to a place where they think they know it all. And I think that's the biggest disease, or the biggest block an entrepreneur can hit. So the part that they need to be aware of is the continuous revision of their strategy, even if it's working, or especially if it's not, but to always look at reviewing it. And I feel, I can't tell you what it is, but I really think we're in for some big economical shift, and to be ready for that. I really feel what's going on in the world right now, the economy in some manner is going to collapse, because the signs are there. If you look and you read with the, what's it called? The inflation and what's going on with prices, and what's going on with jobs and cuts, and the instability around the euro, the EU, and what's going on. I really feel, I can't tell you what it is, but we're in for some form of an economic hit. And be ready. Be ready. If it doesn't come, great. But be ready for if it does come. So don't be proactive. Don't be reactive. And that's why now I'm really started to read a lot of the business sections in more depth, because of the signs are there, and I want to get on it. I don't want to have another 2008, with, and everything collapses. It's, let's be prepared for that. And as an entrepreneur right now, what I would like your community to be aware of is perseverance and stepping it up a gear, because we need great entrepreneurs. We need great leaders. We cannot rely on politicians. We've seen that in the last year in the world, that there's a distinct lack of great leaders. And I believe the people that can make...
Bravo, I'm clapping that one.
Thank you. But I believe that the people that truly have the ability to influence and make change are the entrepreneurs, are the business owners, are the Bransons, the Sugars, the Oprahs, the people that have built and accumulated wealth, and they have muscle. They can go, look, you need to make a change, and here's why, and here's what I do, and here's, and I really feel, and this is me talking to myself too, right? That we must do this, because the world needs us to do it.
Absolutely.
Whether you're a tech company, whether you're a entrepreneur, business owner in a different field, steel, whatever it is, you've got to go. Let's take it to the next level, because then we can inject back in and do more good.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want entrepreneurs to be aware of. And I don't mind if you want to have millions or billions. I'm not one of these guys going, oh, it should be about the money. It shouldn't, but you're entitled to make it and make a lot of it. But let's use it for good. Let's be a force of good and be that leader. So that's what I would say they need to be aware of.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that with Elevation Nation, Rob.
Yeah. As you're talking about reading it, that's very poignant for the next question, because we always like to delve into the libraries and resources that you may be reading that will be useful for the Elevation Nation to probably put their thumb on and browse through and read, or listen to Audible. So what couple of resources would you recommend our Elevation Nation go out and buy or listen to?
Well, look, there's this great book. It's called Power to Succeed. And the author, he's a really cool guy, right? It's also an Amazon bestseller. I happen to know the author really, really well. He's quite a good-looking chap, I hear. So that's one book. No, on a serious note, what I'm reading right now, I'm serious about my book too, but is a book called Winners, and it's by Alistair Campbell. And it's all about strategy. And what he's done is he's gone and researched all of the people who are big in their game. So if Mourinho's in there, forget if you like Chelsea or Man U, doesn't matter. He looks at everything from a strategic point of view. He looks at chess players. He looks at American football coaches. Of course, he talks a lot about what Labour did strategically and how he managed things. And that's a really, really good book in terms of for strategy. But Alistair Campbell, he's actually a really good writer, whether you like him or not. So I highly recommend Winners. And the other one, if you're more interested in kind of global events, is called The Next 100 Years. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's really interesting. I can't remember the author right now, but just Google next 100 years
Next
and it'll
100
come up. And this guy, he's taken formulas and mathematics and he's predicting what's going to happen the next 100 years globally, right? And he saw the collapse of the EU like years ago before we even had Brexit. And he explains why from a calculus point of view. It's not conspiracy book. It's all based on clever formulas, calculations. And he saw that the refugee crisis happening, and he saw that Germany will let them in due to the growth of their population and how it's slowing down. It's really, really interesting. And I think as an entrepreneur, to be aware of what's going on in the world and why it's happening, that's a great resource.
Yeah, I think those are two firsts. If I'm absolutely correct about
I'm
them. Those are
changing
two
location because
I can see there's movement. There's movement.
Yeah, I was getting a sign saying your internet connection is unstable, so I'm going to move to the office and just plug in with the.
Okay, no, that's great. No, that's two great recommendations. I'm quite interested.
Three.
I think. Well, three. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yes. The subliminal power to succeed. Yes. Three great recommendations. So yeah, I think Elevation Nation, you're going to have to check those out. And so it's very interesting about the strategy about Alistair Campbell. So I'm quietly. I think I'm going to press my Amazon button in a little
honestly,
while.
I really think you guys will definitely, you two, from what I know, you'll really enjoy it and you'll learn a lot. And he talks about different strategic formulas, which is why I like it so much.
Good. That's great. I think we've had a lot of firsts. Hey, Leon, have you noticed something in this series of interviews that seems to be happening? We're getting a lot of world firsts. Because and we're also getting stories that they've never been told before on our podcast. I just want the Elevation Nation to realize this. Like, people are telling us things. I don't know if it's because of our interview qualities, if we're so laid back, if people just trust us. They seem to open up.
I think it's the awesome energy we bring. Come on.
It must be. That's what I'm saying, because Elliot's revealed some things that he's never revealed. I just keep going back to old episodes of this new series, and everybody says, I've never said that before. I've never shared that before. I'm thinking, hey, that's great. So, I'm glad.
Rob,
I'm glad.
it's you being fabulous. That's what it is.
I'm taking that to the bank.
Illustrious, fabulous.
Great.
Cool. Next question, because we're getting close to wrapping up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the one thing in business or how you work that you can't live without?
Ooh, that's a great question. Oh, wow. Ooh. I think that's a first for me, because I'm used to the typical questions. So good one. That's the first question. What's the one thing in business I can't live without?
Yeah, in business or how you work. Yeah.
What am I going to say? I'm going to say the one thing I can't work without is being strategic about everything. Right? Yeah. You should see our walls. You should see my flip charts. Literally now, I just look and I'm strategic about all areas of my life. And you know what? If and when some of you see my beautiful wife, there's proof that strategy works. Because there's no way that I would have got myself such an incredible human being without an effective strategy.
Awesome.
And so for me, it's all, I say strategy is sexy. Maybe I am weird, but I find strategy to be everything. And that's the one thing I can't live without. And of course, human interaction. Yeah. That's important.
That's good. So the sexy strategist is in the house.
That's what I was going to say. Sounds like a sexy strategist funnel coming on there. So wonderful. Well, I'm going to throw one of our curveball questions before we go and finally wrap up. Elliot, if you were having 3 people over to dinner who are alive or deceased, who would those 3 people be and why?
That's not a curveball. Come on. Give me a challenge. Simon Cowell.
Okay.
Simon Cowell be one of them. I think he's an incredible businessman. He's incredible visionary. Forget it whether you like him or not. I just think he really knows, and the results proves it. And the reason I like him is he's not about being the best number 1. He's about being the best number 2. He always sees what's in the market and does it better. Yeah. And then he becomes number 1. So Simon Cowell's one of them. The other one I'd really love to have at dinner is a guy that inspired me to be a professional dancer at the tender age of 21. And that's a guy called Rudolf Nureyev, who was a ballet dancer. Okay. And it was the impact he had on the ballet industry, not his life, because his life's pretty dark. But I'd love to actually have the opportunity to sit there and meet him and pick his brains. And the third person, it'd be a real interesting meal, actually. I've got to say would be Alan Sugar. Again, because of I love how loyal he is to the people that are loyal to him. Again, his understanding of economics and business and growth, the results speak for themselves. And I think it'd be quite funny once you get past the hardcore East End boy. And I'd love to just, can you imagine that, sitting there with all these people that have pioneered stuff, going and just absorbing that. That's what I'd like to. And if it was a fourth, Megan Fox, just because she's really cool.
Throwing in the fourth.
Yeah, just cool. Just ends that cool.
Yeah, she's good with me and my wife, of course.
Cool. Elliot, those are amazing answers. What I want to say is thank you for taking the time out for this interview with our Elevation Nation there.
It's been my pleasure. Really
appreciate it. If somebody wishes to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Website, social media profiles, could you let us know?
Of course. So social media is pretty much the same handle. So Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter is Elliot Kay. So it's ELLIOTKAY, and then PTS, as in Power to Succeed, all one word. So Elliot Kay PTS. So it's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can feel free. My website is elliotkay.com, and you can contact me through there. Feel free to connect with me. Facebook, add me as a friend. Also, I have something called The Strategy Room, which is a Facebook group. And that's where we really exchange strategies. We discuss things. We have themed days. It's where I'm building my tribe. It's a free online resource, and you can really connect with me. So that's another way you can do it. You have to ask to join, and we ask you 3 questions. But in the question, you say, look, I just saw your amazing podcast with Leon and Rob, and you're a sexy strategist, and I'll let you write in.
Awesome. You hear that, guys? Straight in the back door.
I love it. Sexy strategist. That's going down. That's a good headline, I think, already.
Rob, I'm gonna leave the floor to you.
All right, then. Phenomenal. Thank you, Leon. So once again, thank you for listening. And remember, Elevation is through your support and continued growth that we bring more guests like Elliot. And I wanted to say a big thank you to Elliot. So what I'd like you guys to do is just take that to the bank, what Elliot said. Go and put something about sexy strategy in there, and you'll get that backdoor pass into his new tribe. And we just want to help. We want you to still, keep elevating, keep executing, keep evolutionizing your business, because that's what we want to help you to do, and people like Elliot want to help you to do as well. And we will finish with the final word. And the final word, I think I'll take it because I haven't had it for a long time. Leon's had it. We've had our guest close out a couple of times. But I'm going to take this one. And I'm just going to use what we started with Elliot. And what did Elliot say? He said, and it's something that we do and try and teach within our Vortex community: start before you're ready. Get the momentum flowing and just go and watch the doors open for you.
Cool. Thank you very much, Elliot. It's been amazing. Thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, guys.